Hey there, streakers. Happy Sunday. Hopefully it's been a good Sunday for you. Wherever you are in the world listening to this, it may be actually Monday morning when you hear this. You know, this has been an interesting day. Sunday I reserved to talk about the spiritual streaks that I have, because as you look at streaking, we're talking about all aspects of your life. In other words, become the whole person. Spiritual, physical, intellectual, social, emotional, all those areas of your life you can influence with streaking. And today, I was pondering on and thinking about, as we were at church service, listening to a couple of the different people that had prepared talks, I was thinking about Christ being the center of your life. As you think about Christ being the center of your life, the question that I had for myself is, what do I do in order to make Christ the center of my life? Because what I feel is that it's not about, how do I say this? If you're going to make him the center of your life, there's things that you have to do in order to make that happen. Now, as you think about we're saved by grace, absolutely agree. Grace is the saving grace of Christ is something that I absolutely believe. And what I'm going to do in order to, take advantage of the saving grace of Christ is I'm going to do things in order to make him the center of my life. So as I was listening in church today, I started making a circle. And that circle, if you could just imagine this out and draw a circle, if you are following along with me, you draw a circle and label that circle my life. And then right in the center of that circle, put in Christ, C-H-R-I-S-T, Christ is at the center of my life. Now, what do I need to do in order to keep him at the center of my life? What I got to is that there are 5 primary things that I need to do in order to keep him at the center of my life. Not to enable necessarily his saving power. That's up to him. He's the one that allows that saving. The question that I have is, how do I continue to take advantage of that and keep him at the center of my life? The first thing that I identified in order to keep him at the center of my life was prayer. To pray every day. Now, let's take that over into the realm of streaking. If I'm going to be streaking, I'm going to streak to pray at least one time daily. Now, I do have a prayer streak, and that prayer streak is a little bit more specific than just pray one time daily. It is to pray for charity at least one time daily. And I did that because, and if you've listened, you know, I've told this story a couple of different times, that I needed to be able to see people as Christ sees them. And I figured the best way to do that was to pray that I could have the pure love of Christ in my life. And as we learn, to pray with all energy of heart, that you may be filled with this love. So that's the first thing, as you think about what I can do to keep Christ at the center of my life. First, prayer. Second thing was attend church services on a weekly basis. Now, I don't have that set as a streak. However, I go to church every week. It's not something necessarily that I feel I need to set as a streak. However, I could if I wanted to keep track of it and ensure that I was going. But I've been going to church since I was a little boy. And to go to church and take the sacrament on a weekly basis is something that helps me to continue to keep Christ at the center of my life. Number 3. So we've talked about prayer. We've talked about church service. The third is fast at least one time monthly. Now, this is something we've also been taught for a long time. Since I was born and before that, is that you should take one time monthly to have a fast. And what is that fast about? It's to not eat for 24 hours of time, not eat or drink, and in that time to subdue the physical with the spiritual. One way that I was taught to do this was basically think about whenever you have a hunger pain during that 24 hours is to think about Christ and what he's done for me in my life. Also during the fast, I can think about how I might help others or do things for others. Or if I have a particular problem that I'm facing and I want to get over that problem, I'm going to fast at least one time. That's number 3, right? So we've got church, prayer, fast. Number 4. Number 4 is service to others. Now, this one I've thought about quite a bit, and there are a few things that you can do as far as service for others. Service in your community, service for your neighbor, service in relation to your friends or family. And that service can be whatever it is that you define. But it is Christ-like service. Christ was always serving others. I watched the first episode of The Chosen today, and I'm always impressed with that first episode where he, at the very end there, calls Mary and basically heals her from the anguish and difficulty that she's been having. It's a really neat moment. He was always serving, and so that's what we could do, is serve. The 5th thing that is important for me is regular temple attendance. Now, if you're not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you may know that we have temples that are dotted all over the land. And one of the things that's important for me to keep Christ at the center of my life is to attend the temple regularly. Now, for me, I actually have a streak on this to go to the temple at least one time a week, or go to a temple. There's over 200 temples all over the world, and I'll go to at least one of those and visit the grounds, or actually go inside and worship at least one time weekly. And that's significant for me as well. These 5 things are the primary things I do to keep Christ at the center of my life. There's also secondary things, but here's what I found. If I am struggling in any area, I need to go back to those 5 primary things to keep Christ and his atonement and what he did for me in the Garden of Gethsemane and on the cross at the center of my life. And when I do, I find that I'm able to put life in perspective. That when difficult times come, I see them differently. And hopefully I see them in a way that Christ is my strength and my song. So keep Christ at the center of your life. Think of those 5 things. Set your streaks that will allow you to keep him in that place that will continue to give you light and strength. You know, a city that is set on the hill cannot be hid. And what is that light that we hold up? It's the light of Christ. And so always making him your center. I'll always strive to make him my center, and I can do that through streaking every single day. As always, if you want to ask me questions, feel free, Jeffrey, Jeffrey, at thestreakingapp.com. Also, feel free to download the Streaking app and set your own streaks and follow other streaks. Until we talk again, keep streaking.